But I kind of want to make a stop at Ohio State and Nebraska. Because I'm looking at Ohio State and Nebraska, and I asked this question already in earnest, but I'm going to ask it again. What Nebraska are we going to see show up at number 4 Ohio State? Because I know what Ohio State team we're going to see. We're going to see a team that absolutely positively needs to go dunk on Nebraska. They can't afford to show any signs of weakness going into the next few weeks where the College Football Playoff Selection Committee is going to start seeding teams. And they don't have the luxury of doing what they did in 2020, which is beating up on Nebraska 52-17. Ryan Day coming out there going, I'm sorry I didn't take a knee late there in the fourth quarter. Nah, dog, you need all the points this time. You got to stun them. Because what Indiana did to them, you got to do that plus. You know, that you got to be in that range. It's got to be 42-7, 49-7, 56-7. It's got to be in there. For Nebraska, are they going to turn into Oregon overnight? Because I doubt it. But if they do it, cool, great, I'll watch it. Feels like, though, Nebraska's going to lose their 27th straight against a top 25 opponent dating back to 2016. Looking like being 0-6 in games during the Matt Rule era where they could bid to bowl eligibility with a loss here. And you know what? It feels that way because the thing that we said about this Husker team is that the defense is good, like bordering on elite. That ain't true no more. No. Not when you give up Indiana putting you in a Ric Flair figure 4 for 495 yards, 215 yards on the ground, 6.5 yards per carry, 56 points. One fell swoop. Defense mini, Urban Meyer included, believe was elite. No. Looked like Voltron. And then they got zapped by Zacron. Zacron said, no, the blood of the empire runs through these veins. That's what Indiana said. I'm about to show you what's really good, Voltron. Legendary defender my fanny. So now we're talking about a Nebraska offense that is inconsistent, dithering, and incapable of scoring more than 24 points on anybody who can make weight. Okay? They can punch down with the best of them. You know, Northern Iowa, UTEP, anybody in this Power 4 program, they can't score more than 24 on you. So if you can score 25, what it feels like, that's what all it's going to take to beat Nebraska. Because that offense ain't doing much of nothing. And it's not as if we haven't seen Nebraska right where they are right here last year. As much as we want to talk about, you know, the start that they're on and being ahead of schedule and year 2 of Matt Rule, they are looking at being right where they were last year. You know why? They played another team that was contending for the Big Ten championship last year. Feels like eons ago, but it was Michigan. And Michigan stomped a mud hole in Nebraska and walked a drive 45-7. Okay? They were 5-3 after that. They're looking at 5-3 after a loss to Ohio State. Can a 5-3 Nebraska get to 6 wins? That's the question here. Meanwhile, we're talking about the Buckeyes are a college football playoff team. Okay? The 1-point loss to the number 1 team in the sport, and they've had to eat that for an entire week. Now, they got to go take it out on Nebraska and everybody else they face, and they can't wait for Indiana to be undefeated when they get to them because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take that sort of stomping out to convince people, once again, that Ohio State is one of those teams that needs to be in the conversation for the top 4 seed. But given that we saw Jim Knowles' defense get tested for the first time all year by a worthy opponent, you ought to hold Nebraska to next to nothing. We're talking about a team that ranks 90th in scoring, 99th in rushing, and just 57th in passing. They ought not move the football. And Indiana's made it real difficult for you. You know what I'm saying? That defense held them in check. So Denzel Burke getting cooked can't happen. Not against this team. Can't happen. They don't have a wide receiver I think is capable of cooking Denzel Burke to start. So if it happens, we got a real problem. We got to raise alarms everywhere. Can't let them run the football either. Maybe get some takeaways in there. And then go just be Ohio State the rest of the way, right?